Hey guys!
Hi everybody!
Welcome to our stream. We're sorry we're a little late. Just a little tiny bit late. Actually, I should probably.
We did pretty good though.
Did we?
Considering.
I should probably post on Discord that we're actually live now. How many? What are we at? We're good. Okay, louder. Just a little louder. No.
Any of us? Be
It's
louder?
The mics. They want the mics louder. Okay, guys, we're getting that fixed right now.
Which one? Is me? Am I too loud?
Is it Jeff? Jeff?
Or is it Steven too loud?
I'm never too loud. Am I? Maybe.
I can yell.
Hello, friends, out in the Twitch lands. Okay.
We should not be watching chat while we're doing this. It is a terrible idea.
Don't look at chat.
Ignorance
Just know
is bliss.
it's there, but
Okay.
now we're good.
All right.
Okay, guys. So, by the way, we do have a treat for you guys today.
It's a different kind of live stream.
A little bit different. We're actually going to be showing some Alpha 1 Arena gameplay.
Yeah, the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, most of the whole time.
Most of the whole time. It's interesting because we just started the stress tests on the 7th, I believe it was. Was it the first stress
I think
test?
that was the first one.
And it is now what, the 27th?
20 days later?
Oh my gosh, nearly 3 weeks into the stress testing. So we've had 3 official stress tests. A couple of them over the weekends, and then one was one day early on. As you guys know, we are launching first with the Battle Royale mode that we've been testing, and we'll be implementing our Castle Siege mode
Shortly after that.
Shortly after that, which will include some of the classes that people can spec into. And then after that, we'll be doing our Horde mode.
Right.
Yes. So what is that? Oh, we're connecting to a game session. Wait. We should. Let's switch over. Oh, can you actually see it now? Okay.
I don't know.
We can see it.
We have 2 screens.
No, we can't. Oh, let's move over into the game. Can you put us into the game? We're in the corner now. Yay!
God,
We're in the corner. Okay, so you're seeing here a little bit of a lobby for the arena. And, okay, you guys should be able to see it. Yes, you can. Good. Alex is playing for us, actually. Alex is over here.
Hello. Hi, Alex.
Hey, Alex. How you doing, buddy? So let's talk a little bit about this Arena Alpha.
Yeah. As you can see here, this is kind of like the staging area where everybody kind of gets ready to jump into combat. That portal there is going to be what everybody goes through to try and get off the world of Vera.
Oh yeah, we can talk a little bit about lore, I guess. So we did put this Alpha Arena in some lore context, right? So as some of you were perhaps theory crafting, this actually does take place during the Exodus of Vera.
Right.
Right? And
So you're playing your great ancestors.
Great.
Very great.
An indiscriminate number of greats.
Indiscriminate.
Yes. And you are actually a part of some of this starting area, this lobby area, where you're seeing players load into, this is unfinished, but this will be one of the capital cities that you are about to enter through one of the Great Divine Gateways.
Yep. You're trying to run for your life.
You're trying to flee. And you are a part, in this particular game mode, you are a part of some unlucky few who didn't quite make it out.
Right.
And they, unfortunately, after entering the Great Divine Gateway, fell back to the planet.
Yep. Something happened to cause a rift to open up into the world.
Right.
And drop anybody who got in there too late back to the world of Vera. So people who thought they didn't actually get a chance.
Yes, they were left behind. Do we have game sound working as well on this? Game sound is good? Okay, cool. Hopefully it's not too loud. Game sound seems okay. Game sounds might be a bit loud, so we'll probably turn those values down slightly.
Raise voice volume instead.
All right, so the match has begun. What you're seeing is a standard kind of fall through, and Alex can jump on out aboard his Griffin.
Yep.
That is untextured. Do not judge the not textured Griffin. This is very much alpha gameplay.
He's a good-looking Griffin for not having
It does
any,
look pretty good. Can we see some flaps, Alex? A little animation. There you go. Oh, perfect. Beautiful. Look at that. That's nice. Up, and now we're diving. So when textures get on this Griffin, you will see that in the coming weeks. Textures will be applied to the Griffin. So now you're coming through the clouds and you can kind of see the world. And the great thing about this alpha arena is that players get an introduction into the art, the world, the aesthetic of Ashes of Creation.
What we're going for with Vera in terms of look and feel and the kind of different environments that you're going to see there. This map is 2x2, 1.5.
I think it's 2.5 by 2.5.
2.5 by 2.5.
Yeah.
So
2.5 kilometers by 2.5 kilometers. That's the size of the map that this current arena is in. And the intended player count for this is to be at 100.
Right.
But we may go higher with that because
Yeah.
obviously, the purpose of this test is to test our systems, and
Right.
part of those systems are getting players onto a battlefield with each other and hundreds of players.
And we want to push that as high as we possibly can.
Yes.
So as we make progress in our back end and continue to optimize things and find some nifty solutions to the problem of a zillion players, we'll probably push that up during our tests as high as we can get it.
Yes, absolutely. That's a whole purpose of having, right now, we have invited all 10,000 Alpha 1 backers
Yeah.
into the stress test. So I know some of them didn't get to participate this last weekend. However, we will have a stress test beginning Friday evening and going throughout Saturday and Sunday, where you will have advanced instructions that should go out tonight, Alpha 1 backers, for you to get in and stress test our servers. We have our servers set up. We have matches will be set to 50 right now because part of this alpha is discovering certain issues that we want to make sure we can optimize.
Right.
And when we did our 100-player matches a couple of weeks ago, we discovered some issues that we wanted to fix before we went back into the 100 players.
We know what to solve on that problem, so it's just a matter of time until we get that all
Implemented,
sorted.
that fixed. Yeah.
But then we'll open up to that. It also allows us to spin up more servers and kind of test that functionality and make sure that our scaling ability to dynamically start matches works the way we want it to.
And I see in chat a couple people saying, why did we go with Battle Royale as the first testable arena mode?
Right.
Right, and the answer for that is honestly, as we're testing and getting people into matches and on our servers and testing the replication among players in a battlefield and making sure that tech is present and capable for hundreds of players on the battlefield, we wanted to have a game mode that still was fun for players to test in, an environment that was fun to test in.
And if you take a look at our content, where we're at right now in terms of content, we're not there yet, right? We're not there to really give you a full MMO. So we try to figure out a way that we can get a lot of players into a place at the same time, have it be fun, have it be quick, and have us still get the same kind of data that we would get if we were running the MMO. And so this is just a really good solution for us.
And it was the fastest solution, right?
Yeah.
I mean, from a game mode perspective, there's really not much to a Battle Royale,
You've
setting
got your
up.
rule set, and that's kind of it.
And that's really pretty much it. So, it really just made sense for us to get this world in the hands of the players and us actually collecting data that we need to collect, right, in the process of building the game. Now, that being said, however, obviously, Battle Royales are pretty popular right now among a large portion of the gaming communities. So that doesn't hurt as well. This can be something that will get more eyes on the project. But Ashes of Creation is an MMORPG, and this arena is just a testing grounds for us to actually collect data and refine.
And it's also really good for us as a company too, in terms of getting people used to putting stuff in front of people. It's having a game that is live like this is a much different thing than just hanging back and not putting stuff out in front of people. It changes the way that you approach problems. It changes the way that you you get more serious. You put on your big boy pants. And that right there is really good for us as a studio.
Oh yeah.
Kind of to establish and cement our identity, as game designers. So
absolutely, yeah, I agree. And the other thing is, which is important is, you have these. I mean, I'll say this: the speed that we've been building and developing is rapid and fast. But
Really fast.
When we jumped into the stress test phase, it somehow got even faster.
Yeah. Well, because it's all of a sudden it's you have really specific problems to work on. You can't really, you want to fix them as soon as you possibly can because you have people depending on you who are out there kind of waiting for this stuff.
Yes.
So it really kind of changes your perspective on things and it makes it real.
Yeah. The other thing about this in preparing us for phase 2. In phase 2, for those of you who don't know, phase 2 of Alpha 1 is the persistent MMO world. That will be roughly 120 square kilometers, progression up to level 20. You're going to have 8 base archetypes available to play. You're going to see a more integrated aspect of our combat system, which was always from the beginning intended to be a blend of action and tab.
Right.
Now, with our Alpha 0, as many of you guys saw back in December, we had progression up to level 10. We had a 16 square kilometer zone. We had our node system working, collecting experience, advancing, collecting cultural experience specifically, connecting into the quest lines and changing the spawn tables of the areas, unlocking dungeons. That was all present in our Alpha 0. What we saw from the community was a desire for us to iterate on our combat system.
Right. I think that was probably never the weakest part of it.
And that was never really our focus from the get-go, right, with Alpha 0. We knew how to set up tab-based combat system.
Right.
That's pretty traditional. What was going to be really the feat was to blend action and tab together in a comfortable and good-feeling combat system.
Way.
And balanced, absolutely. Because those are very different tempos, action and tab, completely different. So what Alpha 1 in this arena phase does is it allows us to have 100% focus on action systems.
Right.
And then as we watch those systems play out and continue to develop them, we can begin to implement and iterate those systems in with the tab systems.
Targets, right. And it's really great because it gives you a totally different perspective when you're looking at something like that. Action is real fast. Like I can't describe to you how fast it is. I grew up in a kind of tab queue-based system, and you really approach abilities and weapons and all this stuff in a very different way once you have action sort of opened up for you. And it allows us to really start categorizing kind of the idea behind abilities and what they should be doing and what they should be doing in each context. So, so already we've made a lot of progress down that road here internally just from having this stuff exposed to us.
Yes, and we're really actually, I played about 30 some odd matches last Sunday, and I'm very happy with the place that this game is from a smoothness standpoint.
Right.
With participating in combats as we tested the siege stuff before we went to PAX as well, seeing 100 players in that kind of area was a smooth experience. And I've played a lot of MMOs.
You have.
And I will tell you that, a lot of them. And I will tell you almost without fail, any siege experience that I have gone to in every other MMO, I have experienced major performance issues.
Right. And it makes sense,
And it didn't matter the engine, right? It was from proprietary engines to previous Unreal engines, I experienced those problems. What I will say, which is promising, is that this early in our development, when we were testing those siege mechanics, that some of you may have seen the video, we showed some of the gameplay from that back on September 1st, I think we released a video at PAX. That performance was smooth.
No, it felt really good, even like from my perspective as a very critical person. Like it felt good. I'm always amazed at how much progress we're able to make on that stuff. And these are really hard problems to solve, right? Like when Steven says, like, I've been in all these sieges and they've always been difficult to run because they are so laggy and choppy. I mean, it's not because people don't know what they're doing, it's that they're really hard problems to solve. So, I mean, it's cool that we have made so much progress even in just this short amount of time.
Right, yeah. And I think it's great, as we've talked about this before, but an open development where you have such transparency with the community that you're building a game for this early on, it can be a little scary to get something in the hands of players like this.
Terrifying.
Before we came on this stream, even some of the devs were just like, "Are we gonna show this? Are we gonna show this?" And
it's hard to let your baby
It's hard to show. I mean, obviously, when you're an artist, and developers are an artist, whether you're a designer, a coder, or an artist, really, you're all artists in the sense that this is a project you work on, you dedicate a vast majority of the time in your life on right now, and to show it to the people you're building it for.
Right, to let it loose in the wild.
Let it loose in the wild, like we're showing now. I mean, this is a work in progress. This is truly an alpha.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes people, they don't know that. That's what we've talked about as the downside of transparency is, you know, people don't understand those points. Don't die, Alex. Alex, don't die. You can do it.
Depend on you, man.
Kill him. You're good. You can do it. Oh my gosh, this is so scary. I'm so scared. Quick, GM cheats. GM cheats. Go. Activate the cheat codes. Oh my God. Oh, good job.
Well done, sir.
Alex, you survived.
That halberd's good.
Quick, find a corner and heal yourself. No, I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, going back to that, but that is the downside of transparency is you're showing a work in progress, and
Right.
some people don't understand that. But that's okay, because part of this whole process is being able to interact with the community, being able to hear feedback, and let them give us as much data as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you can't fix something if you don't know if it's broken, and the only way to really tell if it's broken is to give it to players, because they'll break it.
Yes, absolutely. So, that's fun. Alex, are you fighting another person? Oh my gosh. We put Alex on the spot having to perform
did.
for this stream.
He's doing good, though.
Oh, he turned into a plant. What are you? Are you a plant? He has no idea.
He is so camouflaged.
I hope he's
can't
not
even tell.
actually watching the stream and is stream sniping you. But
He could
oh, good. This is actually riveting.
And as you can see, like we talked about the environments before, this is the part of the Underrealm for this map. And we've kind of taken the ideas of various different environments and kind of shrunk them down so they all have their own identity here in this 2x2, 2.5x2.5 map.
Yes.
So, you know, it takes a little while to run across, but you'll see a lot of different environments. Some familiar, some different. And yeah, our environment guys continue to knock it out of the water.
Oh yeah, I mean, the great thing about the process and being as transparent as we have been, you get to go back onto our YouTube channel
God, I love it.
and
I love
look
doing
at
it.
look at the old, you know, the old art that was there, and just watching that art train keep on moving and stopping for nobody.
I mean, every time I think like, oh man, that looks so good, you know, a month or two goes by and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe we had stuff that looked like that.
Yes. What is he doing? They want to know what you're doing right now. Alex is repairing his armor. So in this mode, in this arena mode, you pick up pieces of armor, and those armor pieces have skills and abilities associated with them. But additionally, they also grant a capacity of shield damage mitigation points. And you, if you lose those shields, you, whoa.
So
Okay,
camouflaged.
and a completely inconspicuous cart on top of the rock. How it got there, no one knows. But you can recharge the magic in that armor to reconstitute that those mitigation points, those shields, and that's what Alex was doing. Yeah, why don't you talk a little bit about perhaps, Jeff, you know, the number of skills we've associated in here with weapons and armors, and a little bit about the, you know, this game mode itself.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess not everybody knows exactly how everything's structured. So we have 14 weapons in the game. Each weapon has its own ability associated with it. Each weapon has 3 different tiers, so it gets better as it goes up in tier. And then the ability also gets better as you go up in tier. So like we have a book, and the book's main attack is a meteor. So you throw a fireball wherever it lands, a giant meteor comes down and wrecks people in an AoE. Now, its ability is Chaos Meteor. So it will still summon down a meteor, but this meteor then explodes, and it does random effects to different people who are in that area. So it can do all sorts of nasty stuff. You can see that Alex just went invisible. Invisibility is a armor ability. We've got 2 different types of armor, upper body and lower body. Each of those have abilities that are associated kind of with the idea of its spot. So like legs are like evasion abilities. You'll get super jump, which is what we call catfall. You can get frigid tracks, which will leave ice behind you as you run away. So lots of things to get out of combat are attached to your legs. And then your upper body is kind of more like preventing damage to yourself. So upper body has invisibility. It has the ability to summon a wall. It's got immunity to corruption. So yeah, there's all sorts of different stuff going on here. We tried to keep abilities pretty interesting and kind of keep it away from like straight damage. So a lot of stuff changes the way a battle happens. So we've got the darkness bow, which will create this area of darkness. It'll make everybody who's inside it unable to see what's going on around them. So it doesn't do any damage, but it really can disrupt a fight. So that was kind of our strategy.
Yeah. I saw someone actually ask the question with regards to the BR mode. Did making the BR mode take away any time from the MMORPG?
Not really. I mean, it's such a simple mode, and you know, it's a matter of a map, characters, abilities, all these things we already have and are still working on. So really, the only thing it took out of our would be just the rule set and the storm. Yeah. So the corruption storm.
It was pretty a seamless mode to implement. The reason why we chose Battle Royale as a game mode was because it took the least amount of time from a game mode's perspective.
Yeah, we had a big discussion on terms of like what we should actually do going forward in terms of this, and this is kind of the best, most efficient way forward in order to get what we needed to do. Because putting out any kind of alpha or beta does require a lot of polish, and we wanted to get something out quicker rather than later, because again, like the more time that passes.
Yeah, and we had kind of spoken with, with regards to the battleground types we want, objective-based battlegrounds. And part of the discussion early on, as we were, creating phase 1 of Alpha 1 for a combat test perspective, was should we go full-blown into just making those objective-based battlegrounds from the get-go? And the time associated with that was just far greater than what it took, than what we wanted to do. And we wanted to be able to start collecting data as soon as possible, which is why we tiered the stage of release for Battle Royale being the easiest and fastest to implement, moving into then the Castle Siege system being implemented and the Horde system being implemented later on down the road.
And again, it all requires very little on the content side, so it frees up designers to kind of do what they need to do. And it's about getting something in front of you guys as soon as we possibly can. Get something that's useful, right? All the stuff that we're doing here is super useful to us in getting this MMO done. So it really didn't take too much time at all away from what we were doing. I mean, all this stuff, is all stuff we'd be doing
Alex,
for the most part.
Alex, you can do it! Oh my gosh! Alex, how do you keep winning? How many people are left? I can't see it. Is what?
I can't tell. It's too tiny.
How many people? Three? 3 people?
We might see a win here.
Oh, Alex, can you do it? Can you do the first streamed victory for the Ashes of Creation Alpha 1 Arena? No pressure. No pressure. You can do it. I believe in you. Let's just watch for a second and see if you can do it.
Sneaks up, maybe.
Oh my gosh.
That wasn't a good engage.
No. Oh no. No. Oh my gosh! Alex!
6 kills.
How did you do that?
Well
with
done,
6
sir.
kills. Well done. That was a good job.
Yeah. I'm proud of you, Alex.
Very nice. Very cool. That was a good job. What were we talking about? Sorry.
I don't know.
Okay.
We were talking about the different phases of this mode.
Oh yes, the different phases. Oh, one thing that we announced to our Alpha 1 backers that I know they'd love clarity on is that we'll also be including progression and experience tracking for participation in testing that will entitle them to some unique cosmetics as well that reflect on the lore of this setting, which is before the fall.
Right.
So you'll be able to acquire some armors that reflect some of the ancient cultures of Vera that
some
you will
unique
then
looks.
that you will earn and hold for live launch.
Yep.
Yeah, which is pretty exciting.
It'll be kind of like your ancestors kept these curios for you.
Oh, we want him to play more.
Why did he
I think
leave?
Alex, I think he thought he was just playing one game. Tell him he's playing more. They can't just walk away and win once and undefeated. Yeah, so this is a little little lobby. Okay, Very cool.
Yeah.
I can't believe he won on the
I
first
can't.
stream.
He's owned me so many times. He's a little bit too
he
good
has
for
done well.
big for his britches.
What are some questions that we have? I know that we had a. Sorry, Alex, you get to play so many more times. Okay, it's a vicious cycle.
These skills can't be hidden from the world.
No, they cannot be. Let me open up our forums because I know there was a thread that had. Oh, what is this? Boogs in chat wants a shout out. I don't know who that is. Hello, Boogs. How you doing, buddy? Okay. Where is that thread at? Is it in the announcements and headlines? Maybe. Okay, here we go. Official live stream 27th. So let's answer some questions while we're queued up for another match. Let's see. Okay, so question from Master Sinbad. Will we be able to give monthly sub time away as gifts from money earned through the AOC referral link? This is important for many of our content creators who would like to be able to give this away to our followers, subscribers, and friends. At the moment, Sinbad, no, that is not possible, and I'm not sure we would necessarily make that possible as well. Really, the purpose of the referral system was to, and I know we've said this in the past, but it was to take what's often done with content creators from a marketing standpoint with games over the past decade, since influencers have really become a thing on YouTube and Twitch and different social media platforms, was to take what's done usually behind closed doors and democratize it out to all the players. Because an MMORPG community is so sticky, it's probably the most interconnected of all the gaming genres out there.
Without a doubt.
And you already are doing, as players, the work of talking to your friends, your guildmates, and telling them about Ashes of Creation. And, we felt that it was important to reward that activity with potentially playing for free. We are a sub-based game. And that is one of the methods that players can play for free, is if they share the game with their friends. So that was that one. Next question from Liat. Given that taverns are confirmed feature, is things such as cooking going to be in the game? Can I become a brewer and open a brewery? Will alcohol have negative effects? So yes, you can open different businesses. Taverns are one of them. You can offer food and ale through the tavern, and that food and ale will grant certain benefits, buffs. You'll even be able to connect perhaps the NPC that you may have potentially in taverns to offer certain quests that are local if a tavern gets built within that area.
In terms of brewer being its own class, I'm not quite sure if we'll have enough drinks to support that. It's something we'll explore, obviously, but I'm not quite sure that we can come up with that many unique effects to justify that being its own thing. But if you were to be a cook and you wanted to specialize in that, you can do that.
Yeah, the cook will have drinks, but yeah, you're right. The brewery won't be its own profession. Okay, question from Z. Will the camera angle be able to be changed and the camera zoomed out more, or will it be stuck with the character on the left and zoomed in right? No. So Z, what you're seeing camera-wise in this arena is solely intended for the current action combat. Right. That's a camera that's tied a third-person view over the shoulder for the reticles purposes. To be able to grant specific zoom options and aim down sights with the weapons that are being equipped.
And to make those weapons effective.
Exactly. The idea behind our hybrid system is going to obviously be customizable from a traditional higher up third-person view that is seen in MMORPGs, and then to have that customizable so that more action-oriented players might be able to come in closer to the character and have more feasibility there. Question from Gigabear. Stephen, I must know, are we getting growth and shrinking potions from alchemy? So, part of the questions that we are trying to answer with these types of tests in an action arena is the question of how tab will relate to action when it comes to hitboxes on a character, right? And it's entirely possible that that answer may include the adjustment of such hitboxes through alchemical means, perhaps,
Right.
During runtime, or if a person wants to customize their character smaller or larger, what that impacts from a stat perspective,
Right.
So that it blends well into the tab system. But for us to have that answer now really puts the cart ahead of the horse, because our horse is the alpha testing period
Right.
that we're finding these answers out. That's the whole purpose for us creating this action-only arena testing phase, a whole new phase that we can really, a whole new world, a whole new phase that, that we can actually get some clarity on these specific questions.
Yeah, and it's also like we totally think that those kinds of things are a lot of fun. We'll be putting stuff along those lines in as much as we possibly can. As long as it doesn't negatively affect the gameplay, because stuff like that is just crazy fun. So.
Right. And just to clarify, so you guys have a very good context understanding. I know we've said this before, but the holy grail is to find that blend of action and tab that accommodates the play style of the player to a degree. So you have traditionally in these MMORPGs. You have some of them leaning towards more action, some of them leaning more towards tab, and some of them trying to create these hybrids, right? And the next question that kind of put me off on this was a question from Shays that said, you recently confirmed headshot hitboxes currently exist in the game. As an MMORPG player, I cannot help but be concerned that this steers the game towards a shooter. So the desire is to allow the players to customize their playstyle more predominantly towards action or tab.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
So if you take a look at like kind of what a headshot represents, a headshot is basically a critical hit. And players who are relying on tab skills will have that critical hit chance baked into their character. They will have that fixed chance every time they use an ability or use a spell or swing a weapon. And then somebody who's kind of preferring, action-based, in order to get that crit, they're not going to be relying necessarily on their stat. They're going to be relying on whether they get a headshot or not, or are able to hit that critical spot on that character. So that's kind of the direction that we're going in that way. Again, it's going to be hybridized, so there's going to be a little bit of both happening in both places. But yeah, that's the direction we're going.
Okay. Decimus asks, how will the Battle Royale game mode seen in Alpha 1 be integrated to the full version of the game? We're not sure that we will have the Battle Royale integrated into the full version of the game. You have to understand, the Battle Royale mode is intended as a testing atmosphere.
Right.
This is what is allowing us to collect hands-on data from testers with regards to action combat. It allows us to test our server balance. It allows us to test our back-end systems. It allows us to test the frame rate with the environment when players are loading it. It allows us to test our level streaming. It allows us to test mount. It allows us to iterate on art and cosmetic appearances. It allows us to implement our character creation screen. It allows us to test our castle. I mean, there's so many things that get tested. Sorry to go on, but to get tested in this mode, it doesn't have to be integrated into the MMORPG. And
it's weird because it's you got to think of it in terms of this is the MMO, but it's not the MMO, right?
Right.
Like it's the MMO. We've cut a couple sections off of it, and we're just focused on this part right now, right? And then as we go into Alpha Phase 2, that will grow and kind of like start to encompass more things. It's more of a starting point, right, rather than an end point or a means in and of itself.
Right.
It's a thing that is contained that allows us to test a bunch of stuff in a really focused manner. So think of it that way, less like it's its own thing.
Yes. Okay. Next question from Malgus. Hello, Intrepid. I would like to first congratulate you on hitting the milestone of reaching A1. Thank you. It is really lovely combat. Thank you, Malgus. We appreciate that. My question is in regards to node leadership for economic nodes. So far, we know it is a bidding war. So can you explain how would you stop a guild from banding together to send all their cash to certain individuals to take the leadership so it can be a bit more fair to smaller gaming communities, or if the system is going to work a little bit differently? So that's a good question. Obviously, part of how an economic node works is through the accumulation of resources, the trading of those goods and or resources, and those resources can include gold, money, currency. Part of one of the ideas on how that might work is that your transactions through, let's say, that economic node's auction house may yield account-bound currency as well as whatever currency you take. And the account-bound currency might be used as the currency with which you can bid in the economic node or use for other types of systems. So for example, let's say there were certificates required in order to craft certain types of goods at that economic node that utilized this account-bound currency. Your choices through that month would be to accumulate the account-bound currency and either benefit from it by using it at those different types of transactions with merchants that benefit you, or saving and accumulating them to bid for the position at the economic node. The idea here is, yes, to kind of try to stop guilds from potentially banding together, or let's say someone who might subvert our security and RMT gold from sellers or whatever and claim control over. We have ideas in the works for that regard, but that's going to be implemented during testing. We will see whether or not some of those systems work. Yeah, exactly. That's what works and doesn't work. That is something that is on our mind, however, in making sure. Here's the other thing. Funny thing, I sit in Discord and sometimes I read, the conversations that people are having. So, okay, all the time. I see things like, how are they going to make this system work when we're just going to circumvent it by doing this, or find the loophole by doing this, or whatever the deal is. The people always try to break a system, which is good.
Systems are there to be broken.
They're there to be exactly. They're there to be broken. The cool thing about hiring everyone at Intrepid is one of the questions during an interview is always, what's your favorite MMO? Right. What MMO do you play? And I will say, among our talented devs here, MMO passion is at the forefront of being a part of Intrepid Studios, which means that we have been there, we have done that, we are all players, we have tried to break systems, we have tried to find loopholes, we know that they will be found, but we are going to be addressing them actively as they're found. We're going to be testing it a lot before they're released, and our design is thought of with the philosophy of, how could I break this?
Right, and that's also, to kind of counter that a little bit, we also kind of don't mind if some of our systems get broken, because that's where kind of really interesting stories happen. I think we can probably tell a bunch of them, throughout. So we don't really approach it as wanting to prescribe gameplay too specifically, where you don't have any room to make choices as a player. We want those choices to matter, and we want them to have really interesting knock-on effects. So it's not always going to be just about trying to prevent people from finding these loopholes. We might go, hey, there's this loophole here. Well, let's see what happens when players take advantage of it, right? So there's a little bit of that too in our process. So don't worry if you're a little bit worried about us locking it down too hard.
Yes, agreed. Okay. Question. So from Autumn Leaf, this has been on my mind for some time, but are we going to get waist-length hair in character creation? Also, how much will spells be able to interact with the environment? Finally, will we have any regions that have a more permanent weather, like, for example, a winter region that stays cold almost all the time with little impact from seasons?
That's a lot of questions.
So those are the 3 questions.
Waist-length hair is a little bit tough.
Yeah,
especially once we have physics with hair. It gets difficult. There's a reason why you don't see it too often, and that's the reason. Obviously, we're always trying to push boundaries, so I can't say that we're not going to do it. But we can say that it is not a super easy problem to solve, especially when it comes to, hair clipping through horses, and hair clipping through your cloak, and hair clipping through all sorts of weird stuff. So it's not a hard no. It's something we'll probably certainly explore, but I don't know that we could promise it.
Yes. What was the other question?
There was a question about permanent seasons. I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, permanent seasons. There will be regions of the map, obviously, that are more inclined towards a less temperate climate, let's say. And
we have north and south.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have, tropical regions. Yes. So yes, you will see seasons be local to wherever you're at.
Yes. Okay, next question.
And also magical seasons.
Magical seasons as well.
Seasons where, okay, I'm in a tropical zone and suddenly it's snowing here, and it's never snowed here before. And what's going on?
Someone asked, are we planning cinematic events in-game?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay, Tact0210 asks, with dungeons not being instanced, will it scale to how many players enter if more than 8 go in at a time? Will there be positional... Okay, so that's first question. First question is, the dungeons will not scale based on player count inside of these. Are open world dungeons,
Right.
so they'll be populated to facilitate multiple groups that are present within the dungeon. And these are the non-instance dungeons.
Right.
There
They'll
will
be big.
still be instance dungeons. Some instance dungeons
Yeah.
will be present, and those will be created for, whether it's a solo quest line or a
These
group
are
quest
open
line.
and contested.
Correct. Yes.
So half the problem won't just be solving the dungeon; it'll be solving other players too.
Right. That is absolutely correct. Will there be positional scaling for doing damage, i.e. a bow doing more damage if you're closer because of losing less kinetic energy, or hitting a monster from behind doing damage and having less chance and being parried or resisted?
Those are all things we're playing with.
Yeah.
The drop off on damage based on distance is probably not going to be something we do. But okay,
Okay.
we're reading notes.
Cool.
I didn't understand the last one, but it's okay.
Yes, that is fine. Okay, so next question. I know you said that you don't have plans to make flying a permanent feature, but do you have plans or thoughts on a legendary item that summons a flying mount that you can only use for a certain amount of time? So we do have flying mounts that are granted to castle owners, mayors of metropolises, and are legendary drops from legendary world bosses that are timed, those eggs. So those are a thing.
Yeah, there's a reason why we're trying to stay away from flying, just because it trivializes so much of the content. And again, this is a sort of, there's an economic underpinning to kind of everything we're doing with this game and sort of the drivers of gameplay. Flying, unless the game is designed around flying and kind of has space up there, it ends up taking away from what's happening on the ground. We have all these artists spending all this time trying to create a beautiful world. And once you introduce the idea of flying and that players all have flying mounts, all of a sudden you lose out on all of that. It's one of the reasons why in some games that we will not name, where they've opened Pandora's box and they keep trying to put Pandora back into the box, and it doesn't work.
Poor Pandora doesn't want to come back there.
We think we can have a very fun game without that being a focus, and so that's where we're going with that, and that's why we've made that decision.
Okay, let's see. We have another question from Mad Goat. What are the current plans for leveling characters? Will it be some questing, some grinding and questing, or something new? How are you planning to make leveling something new and interesting, and not just a rush to max level where the game really starts?
Oh, I hate that.
Yep.
So yeah, the idea is that the journey should matter, and the journey should matter for everyone, not just an individual, right? So part of the way that we do it is through nodes. Nodes take a lot of work to level up, and to a certain extent, some things are going to be gated behind that. Also, we are kind of event-driven and sort of task-driven in terms of what you want to be doing. We want to make sure that people who are, focused on crafting, for instance, aren't losing out because they're not out in the world grinding, right? And we want people who really enjoy grinding to be able to do that too, but we don't want that to be the most efficient way to level up. So we're kind of spreading our experience around and making sure that we're rewarding people constantly for the things that they would be doing anyways, not because there's one specific best path forward, because everybody's going to be waiting for these nodes to level up, because there's all these things to do in the world outside of that to progress. We're not just making that adventurer level the thing to focus on. So that's kind of how we're going with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. T. Elf asks, will people who defeat you be able to loot your mule?
Your mule?
Yeah. So if you're
yes.
Yes. If they kill you, they can loot a portion of the resources on your mule.
Yeah, and that includes, like, even if you're just running across the world on yourself without a mule, right? The resources that you have on your character, do you have a chance to drop? So.
Correct. A portion, yes, will drop. Vunak, Question number 1. Do you guys have an idea of where you are going to be locating the servers? Since that is definitely a very important thing for action combat games and tight hitboxes where headshots are a thing and being ping dependent. We'll have a multitude of servers located throughout the various regions of the world. And those servers will be good connection points for, and will be driven by, there's 2 types of servers, I'm sorry. For the Alpha 1 arena, those will be driven by the party leader.
Right.
And whatever region they have selected, if they invite friends to their squad or whatever, they'll be able to play on that region. With regards to live launch, when the servers go live, you'll be selecting a server to play on, and that will be your character's home. And that server, you'll be aware of where that server is located, usually by either a ping or a region that's notated on next to the server.
But yeah, we've done a lot of work on this. We've already scattered out. We've already got our plan.
Yes.
So we're pretty much ready to go on that.
And the great thing about Alpha 1 is that a vast majority of that server architecture is in place on the back end, which is cool and why we are very happy about that testing going forward. So let me check out some questions before we hop off on Discord. Where are we? Do we have a Discord channel for questions? I thought we did. Maybe we don't. Maybe the questions are just being asked in Ash's discussion. I thought I saw questions. Here we go. This is, in questions. Okay, that makes sense. There's a questions channel.
Will there be long duration CC? Generally, we're going to stay away from taking complete control away from characters. So CC will usually be interrupts and things along those natures. I don't think, outside of like something like a snare or something that doesn't fully lock down your character, that stuff will generally be fairly short in duration and will likely have some kind of diminishing returns.
Like a mob boss asks, will we be able to have multiple summons at once, or will there be only one summon limited at a time? There will be some classes with the summon combination that allow you to have multiple summons. Beyond asks, will parkour movement be a thing in the game as climbing on walls and trees? That's a good question.
So long time ago, in the live stream that's probably buried. I was very excited about this idea. But there are problems with making everything climbable. It can create a lot of weird situations, especially in a multiplayer game. And I'm not just talking about tickers falling from trees, but people being able to get to places that you never intended them to go. So I don't know yet. We're still kind of exploring what we can do with that and how cool we can make it. Our animators are doing a really fantastic job, though. They're giving us more and more tools that we can implement more and more cool things. So there'll probably be an element of parkour to it.
Nice.
But exactly how much, I don't know yet.
Okay, next question is, so when we try to item dupe under their noses, Steven knows, is Intrepid going to properly ban the hackers and exploiters or slap on the wrist? So I will say this, when it comes to finding exploits and or dupe-related, game-breaking problems, if you come to Intrepid and tell us about them,
not a problem.
Not a problem. In fact, you'll likely be rewarded.
Almost certainly.
Almost certainly. But if you go on and attempt to exploit it, then yes, you'll be banned.
Yeah.
Okay, question. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we'll probably do an escalating, series of punishments.
Straight ban.
Well, it depends on how bad it is. If you're injecting billions of dollars of dupe coin, then we'll probably do a straight ban. But if it's just a couple of items, we're not going to bring out the hammer just for that. But
little hammer.
Little baby.
Small hammer.
Little baby.
You can do a lot of damage. Okay. Vossler asks, this game will have activities AFK and will depend on them like BDO. I'm assuming he means like AFK leveling up something by hitting on whatever, or running your horse in a circle in Arcade.
Oh, no.
Yeah. No.
Again, we want this game to be played.
Yes.
If there are things that you can do to not play the game and still progress, we've done something wrong.
So, Benji asks, do the city leaders design the city layout? To a degree, yes.
To a degree.
Yes, there are going to be certain layout parameters that are dictated by the mayor,
Right.
in which what buildings go there.
Some parts are determined by the area it's in, some parts are determined by the type it is, some parts are determined by the race it is, and then the rest of it is determined by the mayor.
El Karim asks, while action combat is fun and can be entertaining, have you guys looked at more strategic combat style so it is not all Twitch-based action? Yes, that is the tab side.
Yeah, when we talk about the tab side, we have a strategic and tactical version of the game. Basically, there is the strategic is the tab targeter, and the tactical is the action combat. We kind of feel like both of them can work really well together. And so for people who like a slower pace and who want to really be thoughtful about what they're doing, that's probably where you want to spec your points.
Okay, question from Sindil. When might we see some ship assets in game? Oops, I think I lost that question. Where'd it go?
It was right at the bottom.
Was it at the bottom? Oh, there it is. Ship assets in game, even if they are just, oh my gosh, static environments that we can fight in. So ship assets will probably be released around the time that Alpha 2, or leading into Alpha 2.
We'll probably see preliminary
Yes.
pieces of that. I don't know that too much of ship combat's going to make it in by Phase 2, but
Not by Phase 2, Alpha 2.
Okay.
Yeah, no, not
Thank
Phase
God.
2.
You're the hell out of it.
Not Phase 2.
I just
Come
wasn't
on.
listening well.
Alpha 2. Okay. Put it in the schedule. Okay. Question from Cambiguous. Have you enjoyed the GIFs? Cambiguous, I have enjoyed your GIFs. I find them quite funny. Okay. Question from, let's do this one. We could do 2 more questions. So why don't you pick one and I'll pick one.
I'm going to pick one from the
Twitch.
chat on Twitch.
Okay.
The Vec are astrologers. Does this make them better at naval navigation or maritime effects? Or a race designed for coastal sailing? The Vec, very likely, so we've talked about how races will contribute to the abilities that a character has. Navigation on the open seas might be something along those lines.
Yes. Very good. Okay, I will choose the last one from Discord. Okay. The last question. Let's see if I can find a big one. Last question. Okay, let's do this one. From Dice. What are some examples of guild abilities that you could get instead of increasing player cap? So talk a little bit about the guild systems and how they level and what types of abilities can become available. So first of all, most of those abilities are going to be passive abilities that increase certain stats and or values of your character's ability to perform in likely combat.
Right.
So what happens is, as you're leveling up the guild and you're getting these points to either allocate towards expanding the guild's member count or allocate towards adding certain passive abilities that your guild members can gain by being guild members. You're also going to see, as you're leveling up the guild through different type of quest-based, participation-based, node-based, organization-based systems and ways that those quests hook into the world. You're also going to see perhaps some augment abilities at the upper tiers of the guild levels become unlocked for certain members that have a classification of officer or knight. Will have access to those different types of augment abilities that might get unlocked should you go down the non-expansive member layers, right? And the idea there is to offer these benefits to smaller groups. You know, not everything has to be about the quote-unquote Zerg,
right,
or the mega guilds.
Yeah.
Having and it makes sense, having a fine-tuned, honed-in, specific
thing that your guild is
good
really
at.
good at.
Yes.
Yeah. And Steven said likely combat, but it's not always going to be combat.
Right.
You could have an economic focus guild. You could have a trade-oriented
Yes.
guild, and there's all sorts of things that you can kind of put together and kind of give your guild its own identity.
Yeah, and another thing we were talking about, I remember early on with regards to guilds, is not just that, but also having a reputation score.
Right.
And being able to allocate points to increase that reputation, perhaps with a specific node that you may have your guild hall in. And that reputation will interact with the way that NPCs interact with you. It might interact with the way that quests are given in that particular node.
Organizations.
Or merchant services that are present.
Or religious areas.
Right, absolutely. And that can also be a focus that guilds will be able to allocate points towards as opposed to the expansive or necessarily the skill-based stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
That was a good question. Well,
was a
hey,
really good question.
we will be continuing the stress tests, I believe, until around October 5th, around there, seeing how these bug fixes and different iterations go. And then around that time is when we will release the NDA for players to actually stream their gameplay sessions and you guys to kind of watch regularly these gameplay sessions. But we
watch our progress.
And watch our progress, absolutely. We're very excited here at the studios, obviously, to have something in the hands of the players that reflects Ashes of Creation, the environment that it is in, the world that you will be playing in eventually. And we feel it's obviously an important process to keep you guys informed and plugged into the development of this project. It is such a massive project.
It really is.
And
but we're getting there.
We are getting
We're making
there.
progress.
Absolutely. And we love being able to come to you and show you that progress. So, guys, from the bottom of our hearts, everybody here at Intrepid Studios appreciates your guys' dedication and commitment to watching this project proceed and the feedback that you give us. It means the world to us. And we will see you
Next time.
next time. Take care, everybody. Have an awesome weekend.
Bye,
Chat
everybody.
with you soon.